Good afternoon. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure my mic was having a little problem.
Loud and clear.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, good afternoon. The time is now 2 p.m. I am Judge Melanie Williams. This is the State Expedited Accusations calendar in the State Court of Fulton County, Georgia. This calendar is for those individuals who've been recently arrested, but their cases have already been formally accused and bound over to state court. All defendants, you have an absolute right to remain silent. Anything you say regarding the facts of your case can and will be used against you. You also have the right to an attorney. This particular proceeding is being broadcast over the internet as a live stream. It is also being recorded. That means any member of the public can log on and watch this particular proceeding. I understand that there is a position that needs interpretation today. Have the members of the Public Defender's Office been able to interview that client?
Yes, Your Honor. I have not. I will need a breakout room.
Okay, can we start with that now? Is that possible to put that position in a breakout with Mr. Dotis?
Depends on where the person is at the jail.
That's what I'm asking. That's what I'm asking the
I
judge.
have her here, Your Honor. How you doing, Judge Williams? I have her here.
Good afternoon.
I guess we're gonna have to go forward with all Mr. Ford's cases while he's in a breakout with.
That was my plan, but if she's in there in courtroom 2, she can't really go into a breakout. Can she, or can she be moved to
I
courtroom
don't know
3?
who's in South Annex. Whose cases are in South Annex?
Position 5 and 8.
I'm taking courtroom 3. So that's Mr. Ford, correct?
Right, yes, but we'll, if courtroom 2 needs to go into a breakout, would you want to do that now? Is what I'm asking.
We could do that now.
Okay, so it won't be much of a confidential breakout with everybody standing there, but I'm sure that's fine. If courtroom 2 could go into a breakout with the interpreter, Madam Interpreter, will you please raise your right hand?
Your Honor, we're gonna
Yes,
take, we're taking to courtroom 3.
Okay, thank you.
Make it
That's what
much
I was
easier.
asking. All
Yeah,
right, please state your name for the record.
My name is Adriana Chansey.
Ms. Chansey, do you swear and affirm that the translation you will make today from English to Spanish, Spanish to English will be done to the best of your skill, knowledge, and ability, and as accurately as possible?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
Thank you, and reminding you that you're under oath when you come back, all right?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, we'll go to the South Annex position. Who do I have at South Annex?
Position number 5, Ms.
All right.
Harrison.
Okay, is position 5 not Kia Burden? That's wrong.
Tell me your full name.
What's your name?
she has position number 2.
I'm sorry, I apologize. It is position 2.
Oh, you're position 2, Tiffany Barrison.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Barrison, your case is 23 CR 0000865J. You're charged with battery against a pregnant female with the offense date of January the 16th. Do you understand your rights?
No, because I haven't been around that victim.
Okay, wait, no, wait, stop talking. What I'm referring to, do you understand that you have a right to remain silent and that you have a right to an attorney today? You understand that?
Yes.
Okay. The only reason I cut you off quickly is I don't want you to make a mistake and say something that the state will use against you, okay? I'm
Yes.
trying to protect your constitutional rights, all
Yes.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Ms. Bostic, I see that you're on the screen. Can I please have Ms. Barrison's history, position 2, please?
In regard to Ms. Barrison, she has 16 prior arrests. She has a hold in Noonan. She has a few misdemeanor convictions, no felonies, the 2015 disorderly conduct, 2016 reckless conduct, 20 with a battery, a 2015 misdemeanor possession of marijuana, 2019 misdemeanor possession of marijuana, and a 2021 simple battery.
Okay.
Nothing further.
Thank you, Ms. Bostic. All right, Ms. Campbell, if you proceed, please.
Yes, Your Honor. And just to supplement the history, she also has a 2022 ag assault with a deadly weapon out of Clayton County, and that case is showing as open and it has not yet been resolved. As to the facts of this case, the incident date is January 16th of this year at 6:54 a.m. The location of 4300 Flat Shoals Road in Union City, apartment 2405. This defendant did strike her girlfriend, Miss Cacricia Parks, and that's spelled Kacrecea. She struck her in the face with an open hand. And when the officers arrived, they did observe that the victim had scratches, bleeding, and bruising to her face. They are in a relationship, according to the victim. And at the time that this victim was physically attacked by the defendant, she was 7 weeks pregnant. Due to this defendant's prior history, for what I saw, at least two violent convictions, the two battery convictions from 2016 and 2021, as well as the open aggravated assault from 2022 with a deadly weapon in Clayton. The state does believe that she's a danger to this victim, and the state does believe that she's a likelihood to reoffend. So for those reasons, the state's bond recommendation is $10,000 surety, no further contact with Cacricia Parks, stay away from the incident location, 4300 Flat Shoals Road, apartment 2405, and family violence intervention program if she, as a condition of the bond.
All right, I'm sounding for Ms. Parks at this time. If Ms. Parks is present on the Zoom conference and wishes to make a statement. All right, seeing and hearing none, Mr. Ford, please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, my client is 33 years old. She's a lifelong resident of the state of Georgia, so she's going nowhere. She has community ties. She did give me family and friends that she does have in the Georgia area. She is not working due to the fact that she's on disability, Your Honor. So she's not a person who's looking to offend or affect anyone at this time. She completely denies the charges. When I spoke to her, she completely denies the charges that have been brought against her by the alleged victim. At this time, Your Honor, noting some of her offenses date back to 2015 and 16, which is more than 5 years from the date of this offense, Your Honor. My client is definitely going to be coming to court each and every time that she is asked to come to court, due to the fact that she does completely deny the facts in this case. She has 3 children that she's responsible for, Your Honor. She has a 17-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 9-year-old. So incarceration at this time, Your Honor, any continued incarceration would really put those children's plight in jeopardy. So at this point, Your Honor, we're asking for a signature bond at this time due to the fact that my client does completely deny the charges. And I think a stay away at this time would be the best option, because at this point, I think she will definitely adhere to that. And these two individuals do not live together. They have different addresses. So we're asking for a signature bond at this time, Your Honor, due to those facts.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ford. Ms. Lewis, what is my SAP reset date?
The SAP reset date is gonna be February the 23rd.
All right, thank you. Those who receive a surety or a cash bond today will be reset to the February 23rd SAP calendar. At this time, Ms. Barrison will receive a $4,000 surety bond. She is to have no further contact with the alleged victim, last name Parks, and stay away from the address on Flat Shoals Road in Union City. She is furthermore to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. That's a condition of that surety bond. And she will be reset to the SAP calendar on February the 23rd, whereby this bond and any other conditions can be revisited at this time. Is there anything further from the state of the defense?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, best of luck to you, Ms. Barrison. What do we have next?
Your Honor, can we put Mr. Dotis in the breakout room with the interpreter in courtroom 3, please?
Is courtroom, yes, Ms. Lewis, will you do so? Is courtroom 3 on the screen? What does courtroom 3 say?
I believe they're already in the
They're
breakout.
already in the breakout room.
Oh, they are.
Mr.
Oh,
Ford,
Mr. Dotis needs to
right
be
there.
in
I'll
there.
go and put them in and out.
Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you,
Lewis.
Doris.
You're welcome.
All right, who do we have now at South Annex?
Position number 8, Ms. Foster.
All right, good afternoon, Ms. Foster. Your case is 23 CR 0000834E. You're charged with transmitting a false report of fire and possession and use of drug-related objects. Do you understand your rights?
Mhm.
Is that a yes?
Yeah,
Is it yes?
yes.
All right, thank you. All right, can I please have her history, Ms. Bostic?
In regards to Ms. Foster, multi-state offender, 11 arrests in Colorado, an arrest in Texas and Colorado. She has pawnbroker false information by seller in 2009, and in Texas, theft and a prior theft from yard in 2015. Nothing further.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Thomas, is this your case or is this yours, Ms. Campbell?
Good morning, Your Honor. It's Ms. Campbell's case. I'm here as a supervising ASG, but Ms.
All right,
Campbell will
thank you.
handle Ms. Foster's case. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Campbell, please proceed. You're muted.
Okay, sorry. My computer was acting up. Yes, as to Ms. Foster, it is my understanding that this was actually supposed to be a pre-negotiated plea with the PD's office. I'm not sure if that's still the case, but that's what I was told this morning.
Is there gonna be plea paperwork?
Your Honor, that is not correct, Your
Oh,
Honor.
it's a pro se plea? Is that what's happening?
It would have to be a pro se plea, Your Honor.
Right.
We're
I
not-
understand the public defender's office's position. Is this the position that was attempted to plea yesterday?
Yes, Your Honor, and the paperwork was sent over this morning.
So has Ms. Foster signed that paperwork? I can't hear, she's muted.
Your Honor, this is Officer Milton.
Hi, Officer Milton, good to see you, long time.
I don't have a printer and I'm at ACDC. And I don't have a printer or access to one to print anything. So it's for her to sign. But
Okay,
she did speak to Mr. Ford this morning.
okay. Without the plea paperwork, she can't really take a plea is the issue and challenge here. The paperwork has to be inputted or else it's like if she didn't take that plea. So I'm not really sure how we can dispose of this case today, Ms. Campbell. Or Ms. Thomas, in your experience without plea paperwork, if there's no way for them to print it at the South Annex, she can't take this plea. So
That's correct, Your Honor. So I would ask for Ms. Campbell, if you have the paperwork, to just go ahead and do her for her bond hearing.
Yes, Your Honor. I mean, yes, I can do that.
So that she's not.
that was my suggestion as well, that she be heard on bond and reset as appropriate.
Yes.
All right, Ms. Campbell, please proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. The facts are that on the date of February the 9th of this year at approximately 1:54 a.m. in the morning at the location of 761 Morosco Drive Northeast in Atlanta, this defendant was present at the above location. It is an apartment complex. Further investigation revealed that this defendant does not live at that apartment complex, but she did pull the fire alarm at that time. And when the officers arrived on scene, they were advised by someone who works security at the location that he observed the defendant pull the fire alarm. Additionally, when the officer asked the defendant why she pulled the fire alarm, she told him that she did not pull it. However, an eyewitness does confirm that it was her that did that, and there was no fire and there was no reason for alarm. So those are the facts of the case. It is my understanding that although she does have the history out of Colorado, this is her first cycle here in Georgia. So for those reasons, the state's recommendation for bond is going to be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services. And it is my understanding that there are two different counts. So I would just ask for $1,500 on each count. And like I said, through pretrial services, nothing further. And I will also ask for no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while on bond, and that she stay away from the incident location.
All right, thank you, Ms. Campbell. Mr. Ford, even though you would not be able to represent her for a plea, do you represent her for this bond hearing today?
Yes, we do, Your Honor. And I did speak with Ms. Foster, and we do concur with the total of the $3,000 signature bond at this time.
All right, defendant will receive a $3,000 signature bond through the jail, $1,500 on each count. She's to stay away from the incident location and have no alcohol, drugs, or weapon as a condition of that signature bond. Is there anything further?
Was that through the jail, Your Honor?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Through the jail or in pre-trial?
Through the jail. I'm sending it through the jail. All right. Best of luck to you, Ms. Foster. You take care. All right. Who do we have next?
Courtroom 2, Your Honor, we have position number 5, Ms. Burden, position number 5.
Thank you. All right. Good afternoon, Ms. Burden. Your case is 23 CR 0000862Y. You're charged with not having your headlights on as required for the offense date of February the 10th. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Bostic, can I have the history, please?
Judge, in regards to Ms. Burton, limited history, 2015 driving with a suspended license or revoked. She currently has another case that she was booked in custody at the same time, 23 CP 216153 for an aggravated assault. One arrest for probation violation. She appears to have an open case in Clayton for possession of meth, I believe for a 2022 arrest. Nothing further.
All right, thank you, Ms. Campbell.
Yes, Your Honor. The incident date is February the 10th of this year, and this defendant was operating a vehicle on Marietta Street in Atlanta, and it looks like 3 of her headlights were not operative. She was pulled over, and it's my understanding that at the time that she was pulled over, she did have an open warrant for her arrest for the Superior Court case involving the aggravated assault. So that's why she was taken into custody. It looks like that case went to first appearance this morning. I'm not sure what the bond amount was on that case, but because this case is separate and the incident involving the ag assault was on January the 30th, and our incident was on February the 10th, the state is consenting to a $1,000 signature bond through the jail and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while on bond for this case involving no headlights, nothing further.
I'm assuming you have no objection to that, Mr. Ford.
No objections, Your Honor.
All right, at this time, defendant will receive a $500 signature bond through the jail. She is to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition of that signature bond. Is there anything further?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All
No,
right, best of luck to you, Ms. Burton. Who do we have next?
Sorry, Your Honor, what was that bond amount?
500 signature through the jail.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have position number 4, Mr. Christopher Boynton.
All right, Mr. Boynton, your case number is 23 CR 0000864A. You're charged with obstruction with the offense date of February the 10th. You understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Bostic, can I have history, please?
Judge, in regards to Mr. Boynton, multi-state offender, 10 arrests in Georgia, 3 in Texas, 1 in South Carolina. He currently has a hold.
Oh, I've never been to Texas. Man.
Oh, hold on, Mr.
Oh,
Boynton.
he's
I'm sorry,
objecting to
Judge,
the
reading
CIC. So
Mr. Boynton. Mr. Boynton.
B-O-Y-K-I-N, man.
I got it. You're the next guy down, sorry. 16 prior arrests. He currently has an open case, 22 SC 182545, cocaine with the intent to distribute drug-related objects, marijuana with the intent to distribute. Felony conviction, marijuana with the intent to distribute, theft by receiving stolen property, firearm by a convicted felon, 2 counts, firearm during in 2018, prior ag assault, prior firearm by a convicted felon, cocaine, another purchase, manufacturing, sale in 2017, misdemeanors, criminal trespass in 06, giving false name in 07.
That's good, Ms. Bostic. That's sufficient. Thank you. Ms. Campbell, please proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. The facts are that on the incident date at the location of 2167 MLK Junior Drive in Atlanta. This defendant did actually obstruct and hinder an APD officer. Essentially, there was a traffic stop that was initiated because when the officer ran the defendant's tag, there was a hit for a wanted person by the name of Christopher Boykin. At that time, the officer did effectuate the traffic stop and he made contact with the defendant and did learn that the driver of the vehicle was the subject of that wanted person. And he was getting ready to take the defendant into custody, and the defendant actually pulled away from the officer to the point where the defendant's jacket was ripped in the process of resisting arrest from this officer. And he ran away from the officer. He fled on foot. He ran into somebody's backyard. The officer gave chase. And when the officer was able to make contact with the defendant, he was still resisting. And the officer had to actually deploy his taser 2 different times in order to take this defendant into custody. And it is my understanding that when the officer stopped the defendant said something to the effect of, "I know what this is about." And again, there was that open warrant for the violation of probation for the felony case here in Fulton County involving the possession with intent to distribute. So for those reasons, the state does believe that he's a severe likelihood of reoffending in light of his very lengthy criminal history, and it's also very recent. So the state's recommendation for bond on the sole count of obstruction is going to be a $3,000 surety bond and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while this defendant is on bond for this case. Nothing further.
Mr. Ford?
Thank you, Your Honor. My client is 35 years old. He has his GED and he's presently been employed for the last 2 years at Breezy Convenient Oven on Auburn Street. He's a baker, Your Honor, and he's gainfully employed. He's a lifelong resident of Georgia, so he's not going anywhere. He knows Georgia. This is his home. He's got plenty of community support. He's listed a number of people. I have telephone numbers for individuals here. Your Honor, this is a person who's making good on making sure that his life goes positive at this time. I think because of his employment, which he is definitely needed at his employment. He has 3 children, 1 5, 1 3, 1 2, and I think he mentioned there's one on the way. He is a definite provider for his family. Your Honor, we're hoping that a signature bond will be granted so he can go back to work and deal with the fact that this was an obstruction. I don't want to go into the facts of it, but you know, in this day and age, when certain types of individuals who are stopped by police, it does give rise to other issues and concerns. Mr. Boykin did bring those to my attention. He apologizes for any inconvenience that might have caused the police officer, but he was a little concerned for his own safety at that time, Your Honor. So we're asking for a signature bond so Mr. Boykin can go back to work and help support the 3 children that he does have.
Ms. Bostic, one question, were there any FTAs in the defendant's history?
No, Judge.
All right. At this time, defendant will receive a $6,000 signature bond through the jail. He is to have no alcohol, drugs, and weapons as a condition of that signature bond. Is there anything further?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. Best of luck to you, Mr. Boykin. Who do we have next?
Next, Your Honor, we have position number 6, Mr. Carthen, Javon Carthen.
All right, Mr. Carthen, your case is 23 CR 000-861E. You're charged with simple battery of family violence, 2 counts, with the offense date of May the 27th of 2022. You understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Bostic, may I please have his history?
Only prior arrest on Mr. Carthen, Judge.
I'm sorry, say that again. No prior arrests?
No prior arrest.
All right, thank you. Ms. Campbell.
Yes, Your Honor. The facts as alleged are that on the date of May 27th of last year, at the location of 5556 Old National Highway in College Park, this defendant was at the location, which is his home that he shares at the time with his 2 sisters, Miss Alicia, and that is spelled Alisia Carthen, and Miss Jada Carthen, and that is spelled Jaida. He did get into an altercation with both of his sisters, and he punched one of his sisters and he pushed his other sister. So he did batter both of his sisters, and he did flee the location on foot after battering his sisters, which is why the case is just coming before the court today, because there was a warrant issued for his arrest and he was just picked up. And so in light of the fact that this defendant, this is his first arrest, the state's recommendation for bond is going to be a $2,000 surety bond, $1,000 on each of the counts of simple battery against his sisters, as well as no further contact as a condition of the bond with either Alicia or Jada Carathan, as well as he must stay away from the incident location of 5556 Old National Highway. He must complete the family violence intervention program while he's out on bond, and he must also have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while on bond. Nothing further.
I'm going to sound for either Jada or Alicia Carthen at this time. If either of those two individuals are present and wish to make a statement. All right, hearing none, Mr. Ford.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, my client is 20 years old. Definitely a misunderstanding between siblings at this time. We feel that the family violence intervention would be more of a conviction. That's a 24-week program, Your Honor. So at this point, my client is looking for employment. He was employed for UPS as a warehouse handler. He's hoping to get back to that job. This issue right here has concerned his employer, but if he can get out on a signature bond, Your Honor, he will definitely look for and probably be gainfully employed back at UPS. Your Honor, he's a lifetime resident. As you mentioned, he's only 20 years old. He's a lifetime resident of Georgia, has plenty of family support, have a telephone number, his mother and other family members. He does not stay at the address, the stay away address, Your Honor. So there will not be any issue of him going back there at this time. And so we're asking for, due to his having no prior criminal history, Your Honor, the fact that he can be gainfully employed, he's a lifetime resident, plenty of community support, Your Honor. We're asking for a signature bond in this matter. So Mr. Carthen can go back, try to get his job back, Your Honor, and there will be no issue with him having contact with his two sisters at this time.
All right, at this time, defendant will receive a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial. He's to take the one-day anger awareness course. He's to have no further contact with either of the alleged victims in this case during the pendency of this action, and he is further to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. Is there anything further?
No, Your Honor. Thanks.
Further, Your Honor.
Can y'all repeat
All right.
the stay away address, please?
I have 5556 Old National Highway. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
All right, that completes your case.
Your Honor, he wants to say something about the address.
That's not my address.
Okay, good. Then you should not have a problem staying away from there.
Yeah, Mr. Carthen, I did let the judge know that you have a different address than the stay away location.
All right. Does he need a one-time escort, Mr. Ford, to the address?
I will have to ask, do you need a one-time escort to receive any personal items, Mr. Carthen? Or are you good? Are you good with at the address that you're at right now?
I'm good.
Do you have any personal items?
I still got a couple items there.
Okay, well then maybe a one-time escort would be good, Your Honor.
All right, he can return one time with a member of law enforcement to retrieve any additional items that may be at the stay away location.
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, best of luck to you, Mr. Carthen. That completes your case. Who do we have next?
Your Honor, was that $1,000 on each signature on each?
Yes, 1,000 each.
Thank you.
Next, Your Honor, we have position number 7, Mr. Creighton.
All right, Mr. Creighton, your case is 23 CR 000859B. You're charged with criminal trespass with the offense dated February the 10th. Do you understand your rights? All right. Ms. Bostic, can I have his history, please?
Judge, in regards to Mr. Creighton, multi-state offender, 2 arrests in Georgia, 3 in New York, 4 in South Carolina. His positions not listed for the arrest in Georgia or New York and South Carolina. He has a conviction for 2021, entering premises without warning, and an assault and battery. Nothing further.
All right, thank you. Ms. Campbell?
This is Cameron Creighton.
Yes.
Okay, the facts are that at the incident date of February 10th at approximately 1:43 in the morning, this defendant was at the Westin Hotel located at 210 West Peachtree Street. And at that time, he did cause a disturbance at the hotel. And the manager actually asked the defendant to leave the property several different times, to which the defendant refused to comply with that directive. And so that is why the police were called and he had to be taken into custody and escorted off the property that way. In light of the fact this is a criminal trespass and his history is, he doesn't have that much history, the state would consent to a $3,000 signature bond through the jail, a stay away from the Westin Hotel at 210 West Peachtree Street, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while on bond. Nothing.
All right, Mr. Ford, I'm assuming you have no objection to that.
No
I was
objection.
inclined to
No
grant that.
objection, Your Honor.
All right, defendant will receive a $3,000 signature bond through the jail. He's to stay away from the West End Hotel and have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition of that signature bond through the jail. Anything further?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, best of luck to you, Mr. Creighton. Who do we have next?
Once again, Your Honor, I apologize. What was that bond amount?
3,000 SOB through the jail.
Thank you. And next we have position number 9, Mr. Jabru.
All right, thank you. Mrs. Jabru, your case is 23 CR 000857J. You're charged with giving false information and criminal trespass with the offense date of February the 9th. Do you understand your rights?
Yes.
All right, may I have the history, Ms. Fawcett?
Judge, extensive criminal history, 30 prior arrests. He has at least 5 misdemeanor, 2022 criminal trespass, 5021 Old National Highway. He's on a couple of felony probations, 2020 burglary and criminal trespass, 51322, 20 SC 177162, 3 FTAs, 3 arrests for probation violations. 1, 2, 3 criminal trespass, 3 theft by takings, felony obstruction.
That's sufficient. Thank you, Ms. Fawcett. I have a clear picture. Ms. Campbell, if you proceed, please.
Yes, Your Honor. It looks like there's 2 counts, false information to a law enforcement officer, as well as criminal trespass. The facts as alleged are that on the incident date of February the 9th of this year at the Travelodge Hotel located at 2471 Old National Highway, this defendant and others were actually inside of hotel room number 142, and they were present in the room without the hotel's consent. So when the officers arrived, they went to the room and they knocked on the door. And at that time, they were met with the defendant. The defendant advised the officer that he did not pay for the room. And according to the hotel, the room was supposed to be vacant and it had also not been paid for. Additionally, Your Honor, this defendant did give the officer a false last name. And so the officer wasn't able to apprehend his true identity initially. And according to the hotel manager, this defendant is a repeat trespasser at this particular location. And he has been trespassed from the property several prior times before. Accordingly, the state's recommendation for bond, in light of his lengthy history for these types of cases, is going to be a $3,000 surety bond through a $3,000 surety bond, as well as a stay away from the 2471 Old National Highway Travelodge Hotel, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while on bond. Nothing further.
All right, Mr. Ford.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, my client is 27 years old. He's a lifetime resident of the state of Georgia. Your Honor, I only have 1 count of giving false information. I think the the ASG mentioned 2 counts. I only have 1 at this time, and 1 count of criminal trespass.
I have 2 counts total, but not, I have 1 count of false information and 1 count of criminal trespass. Ms. Campbell, were you indicating that there should be 2 counts?
No, what I said was, no, I'm sorry to interrupt. What I said was there's 2 counts in total. There's 1 count of criminal trespass and there's 1 count of giving false information to a law enforcement officer.
Okay, I apologize. My apology. I thought I kind of heard there was 2 counts of giving false information. Your Honor, these are non-assaultive crimes. Most of my clients' history have been non-violent types of offenses. Your Honor, we think a $3,000 surety bond, based on the fact that he is not employed, has no income at this time, would be a situation where he will be incarcerated for a long while for these 2 charges. So we are asking that a signature bond be granted, and that I spoke with my client about the fact that he cannot go to that particular hotel location. I think that would be an easy fix for this situation, Your Honor. I believe that the fact that he is a lifetime resident of the state and has community support, I believe that a signature bond would be appropriate, Your Honor.
All right, defendant will receive $1,000 surety bond, 500 on each count. He's to stay away from the Travel Lodge on Old National Highway, have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. As a reminder, he will be reset to the state all-purpose calendar on February the 23rd, whereby this bond can be revisited. Is there anything further?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, best of luck to you, Mr. Jabrou. Who do we have next?
You go to courtroom 3, Your Honor, courtroom 3.
All right, we're ready on the interpreter case. Madam Interpreter, I'm gonna
Yes, Your Honor.
advise, I'm sorry, what position is she?
13.
All right, good afternoon. Are you Maria Manzanilla?
Buenas tardes, ¿es usted María Manzanilla?
Sí, presente.
Yes, present.
All right, your case is 23 CR 0000856J.
El número de caso es 23CR000856J.
In this case, you're charged with battery family violence.
Y tiene un cargo por golpes y lesiones.
With the offense date of February the 10th of 2023.
Con el incidente teniendo fecha el 10 de febrero del 2023.
You have an absolute right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you.
Usted tiene el derecho a guardar silencio. Todo lo que diga será usado en su contra.
You have a right to an attorney today.
Tiene el derecho a tener un abogado hoy.
And this proceeding is being broadcast over the internet as a live stream.
Y este proceso está siendo divulgado por la internet en vivo.
It's also being recorded. That means any member of the public can watch this.
Y también está siendo grabado, quiere decir que todo miembro del público puede mirarlo.
Do you understand your rights and how I'm conducting this hearing today?
¿Entiende este derecho y cómo yo estoy conduciendo esta teleaudiencia hoy? ¿Entiende? Yes.
All right. Ms. Bostic, can I have the history, please?
¿Puedo tener sus antecedentes? Oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
¿Puede decirnos los antecedentes, por favor?
This is her first arrest in Georgia.
Ese es el primer arresto en el estado de Georgia.
Only 1 arrest in Texas, and it was for alien inadmissibility.
Solo hay un arresto en el estado de Texas por residencia indocumentada.
Nothing further.
Nada más.
Thank you.
Gracias.
All right, Ms. Todd, please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Señorita Todd, por favor, proceda.
Yesterday, officers were dispatched to 7000 Roswell Road.
Ayer, la policía fue enviada al 7000 de Roswell Road.
When they arrived, they spoke with Mr. Eduardo Moreno Diaz, who stated that he and the defendant were engaged in a verbal altercation.
Cuando ellos llegaron, ellos contactaron al señor Eduardo Moreno Díaz, quien les informó que él y la acusada se habían involucrado en una discusión.
The defendant escalated the situation when she struck Mr. Moreno Diaz in the face.
La acusada empeoró la situación cuando golpeó al señor Moreno en la cara.
Officers were able to observe red marks to Mr. Moreno Diaz's cheek, neck, and ear.
Y los oficiales pudieron ver el enrojecimiento de la mejilla, el cuello y la oreja del señor Moreno.
While the defendant does not have an extensive history, the defendant and Mr. Moreno Diaz were married at one point and do currently live together.
A pesar de que esta acusada no tiene antecedentes penales, ella y la víctima estuvieron casados en el pasado y están viviendo juntos.
We do believe that this puts the defendant in a unique position to exercise inappropriate influence over Mr. Diaz.
Creemos que esto va a causar una influencia negativa sobre el señor Díaz.
While our office has not had any contact with the victim, we do believe that there has not been a significant enough cooling off period, as this incident did just happen yesterday.
A pesar de que las oficiales de policía no han tenido la oportunidad de contactarse con la víctima, la fiscalía considera que no ha habido suficiente tiempo para que se calmen las cosas.
For these reasons, the state is asking for a $3,000 surety bond, a stay away from 7,000 Roswell Road, no further contact with Mr. Diaz, 1-day anger awareness, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons.
One moment, please. Por lo siguiente, queremos solicitar una multa bajo garantía de $3,000, que se mantenga la acusada alejada, distanciada del domicilio de 7000 Roswell Road, que no tenga más contacto con el señor. Queda prohibido el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas, y también que tome una clase de conocimiento del manejo de la ira.
Nothing further from the state.
Nada más de parte de la fiscalía.
All right, thank you, Mr. Donis.
Gracias, señor Dore.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Manzanilla is 28 years old,
La señora Manzanilla tiene 28 años.
and as we heard from pre-trial, we heard no history of FTA, VOPs, and only one prior cycle in Texas.
Y como escuchamos de la oficina de trato del caso anterior al juicio, no hay ningún antecedente aparte del ocurrido en el estado de Texas.
She's been living in Georgia since coming from her home of Venezuela.
Ella ha vivido en Georgia desde que vino de su patria Venezuela.
And her current address, as the state stated, is the incident location.
Y como la fiscalía lo estableció, el domicilio en donde vive ella es el mismo domicilio en donde ocurrió el incidente.
If necessary, she does believe she has other places to stay, but those addresses are in her cell phone, which she'd need to retrieve.
Ella, si es necesario, hay otros lugares a donde ella puede mudarse y la información está en el celular al que necesita ella recuperar.
She did indicate to me, if my understanding was correct, that this address was her home where her and her children live, and that Mr. Moreno was just staying with them.
De acuerdo a lo que ella me indicó, este domicilio que se ha mencionado es el domicilio donde ella vive con los niños y el señor Moreno se estaba quedando ahí.
And she currently lives there with her two children, her 5-year-old son and her 12-year-old daughter.
Ella vive en la actualidad con sus dos hijos, el hijo de 5 años y la hija de 12 años.
She has not been able to speak with her children. An officer gave her a number to call, but no one has picked up. So she's not sure if anyone's looking after the children or even if they're still at the address with Mr. Moreno.
Ella no ha podido hablar con sus hijos. Los oficiales le dieron un número al cual llamar, pero nadie contesta. Ella no sabe cómo están los hijos, quién los está cuidando.
And she is a cashier at Los Pinos butcher shop.
Y ella es una cajera en la carnicería Los Pinos.
For these reasons, we're asking for a signature bond, and we're fine with all conditions, except we'd ask for no further violent contact. We want to make sure that Ms. Manzanilla is able to care for her children. I'm not sure if the victim advocate has had any conversation with Mr. Moreno and if he wants to have contact with Ms. Manzanilla, or if we can verify that the children are with Mr. Moreno.
Lo que le solicitamos es que se le dé una fianza bajo firma y aceptamos el resto de las condiciones a cambio de no tener contacto violento con la víctima. Queremos asegurarnos de que los niños están siendo cuidados y no sé si la defensora de víctimas ha hablado con el señor Moreno y para ver si él todavía quiere tener contacto con la acusada.
Ms. Manzanilla maintains her innocence and wants to make sure that she's allowed out to provide for her children, and nothing further from the defense.
La señora Manzanilla permanece con su inocencia y queremos que se le permita poder mantener a sus hijos. Nada más de la parte de la defensa.
All right, at this time, I'm sounding for Mr. Moreno Diaz. If you are present, wish to make a statement.
Señor Moreno Díaz, si usted está presente en la plataforma, ¿podría por favor avisar?
All right, hearing none. At this time, defendant will receive a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services.
No hay respuesta, son entonces una fianza de $3,000 bajo firma o no monetaria a través de la oficina de servicios previos al juicio.
She used to take the one-day anger awareness course.
Y tiene que tomar el curso de un día para concientización del manejo de la ira.
She used to have no further contact with Mr. Moreno Diaz.
No puede tener más contacto alguno con el señor Moreno Díaz.
She can arrange to transport the children through a third party.
Puede ella hacer arreglos para que le transporten los hijos a través de una tercera persona o parte.
She is to stay away from the address on Roswell Road if Mr. Moreno Diaz still resides there.
Ella debe mantenerse alejada de la dirección de Roswell Road si el señor Moreno vive ahí.
She is to return with law enforcement to make that determination.
Ella debe tomar esta determinación volviendo con un agente de policía o de la fuerza del orden.
Once law enforcement makes the determination that he does not reside there, she can return to that location. Otherwise, she must stay away.
Sí, cuando una vez el oficial de la fuerza del orden confirme que el señor no vive en ese domicilio, ella puede regresar a esa dirección.
I believe that concludes this case. Is there anything further from the state of the defense?
Creo que eso concluye con el caso. ¿Hay algo más por parte de la defensa o la fiscalía?
Sorry, Madam Interpreter. Your Honor, will you be also ordering no drugs, alcohol, or weapons?
Yes. Furthermore, no drugs, alcohol, and weapons as a condition.
Y también se debe agregar la condición de que se prohíbe para esta acusada el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas.
And can we please put that as per judge, please?
Yes, per judge.
Per judge?
Yes, yes, I'm telling pretrial to take the case.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah.
Yes. All right, is there anything further?
¿Hay algo más?
Nothing, Your Honor. Thank you, and thank you, Madam Interpreter.
Nada. You're welcome, sir.
All right, Madam Interpreter, before you leave us for the day, Will you please sound and make sure no one else needs your assistance?
Absolutely, of course. ¿Hay alguien que necesite un intérprete en español? Por favor, levante su mano. I ask for waiving if somebody needs me.
All right, hearing and seeing none. Thank you, Madam Interpreter. You can be excused.
You're
Enjoy the
welcome.
rest of your weekend.
You too. Thank you, Your Honor. Have a good evening.
All right, take care. Who do we have next?
Next, we have position number 10, Mr. Marlon Gresham. Marlon Gresham.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Gresham. Your case is 23 CR 000-854A. In this case, you're charged with fare evasion and criminal trespass. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Bossett, can I please have the history?
Judge, to be frank, I did not go through the complete history. He has an extensive arrest history, 98 prior arrests. He has a 2020 theft, prior theft by shoplifting, 2013 ag assault, theft by shoplifting, cruelty in the third, prior misdemeanor theft by receiving, 4 arrests for recently for probation violation.
Okay, thank you. That'll be sufficient. Ms. Todd, please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Pfeiffer observed the defendant walking through the fare gate behind another patron at the MARTA 5-point station without paying the required fare to MARTA. After detaining the defendant, Officer Pfeiffer ran a search for the defendant and found that he had an active MARTA suspension, which was issued on December 20th of 2022 and was not set to expire until March 20th of this year. As pretrial stated, he does have an extensive history, Your Honor, dating back to 1984. This does include 8 convictions for criminal trespass, as well as convictions for various other offenses, including multiple thefts, probation violations, and FTAs. As such, Your Honor, the state is asking for a $5,000 signature bond specifically through pretrial services because of the defendant's history of probation violations and FTAs. We are also asking for an order to comply with all active MARTA suspensions and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
All right, thank you. Mr. Ford? You're muted, Mr. Ford.
My apologies. Was that a $5,000 signature bond being recommended?
Yeah.
It was specifically through pretrial services.
Your Honor, we'd ask that just be through the jail. Your Honor, my client is there he is definitely looking to comply with all MARTA suspensions. I did let him know today that he did have a suspension. He was unaware of the suspension. I gave him the actual dates. I think that goes till early part of March. We would ask that he have no conditions to have to go to pretrial services at this time. He's employed with a temp services, but he's not been working, Your Honor, for about the last month. He has no resources, but he is a lifetime resident of the state of Georgia. He's 55 years old. He has community support. He did give me the telephone number of an aunt and some other members of his family, Your Honor. So we're asking that signature bond not be through pretrial services, but be through the jail at this time.
All right, based upon the information before me, defendant will receive a $5,000 SOB through pretrial per judge. It'll be $1,000 for the fare evasion and $4,000 for the criminal trespass. He is to comply with all active MARTA suspensions, and additionally, he needs to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. Is there anything further?
Nothing from the state.
Nothing for the defense.
All right, best of luck to you, sir. That concludes your case. What do we have next?
Next, we have position number 12, Ms. Lakes, position number 12.
All right, good afternoon, Ms. Lakes. I'm Judge Williams. Your case is 23 CR 000-855H. You're charged with giving false information and theft by shoplifting with the offense date of February the 7th. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Ms. Bassett, can I have her history, please?
Ms. Lake does not qualify for pretrial release, 9 prior arrests, open case under the name of Taylor Jackson, 22 CP 207323, possession of stolen mail, 2 arrests for probation violation, an FTA in 21, theft by shoplifting in 20, 15, a fugitive from justice in Tennessee. Nothing further.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Todd, please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. The defendant was caught on video surveillance at the Walmart located at 844 Cleveland Avenue, removing several items from their packaging and placing them in her bag. The defendant placed a total of 6 items totaling up to a value of $42.52 into her bag. 56 cents into her bag. The defendant was detained at the store until police arrived and the items were eventually recovered. Additionally, when asked for the defendant's name, the defendant provided the officer with the name of Jasmine Wallace, which is a false name. With the defendant's history of 16 cycles across 3 different states, as well as the defendant's prior convictions for theft-related offenses, we are asking that the current $2,000 total surety bond, that is $1,000 on each count, remain in place. We are asking for a stay away from the Walmart on Cleveland Avenue and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
What were the items, Ms. Todd?
The items that were reported stolen, Your Honor, if you will indulge me for 1 second and I can list them out of the accusation. They were a project marker, looks like feminine products, feminine spray, and it says nails. I'm not sure if that is a beauty product or home improvement. I would assume it is beauty.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Dotis, please proceed.
Pardon me, I was on mute. Yes, my client is 24 years old. And she's been in Georgia all of her life, so she's not a flight risk. She has recently been struggling with homelessness, but believes she has the support of her grandparents, Ida and Tip Lakes. I have a good phone number for them. I also have a good address for them that I'm happy to put in the chat. So I don't think she'll be a flight risk, and I think she'll be able to receive any court correspondence and make any future court appearances. She has 2 children, age 5 and 3, that she's currently wants to get back to provide for. She attended Stevenson High School in Lithonia. She's currently between jobs. She was recently working at a daycare that at her great grandparents' house that closed, and she's now looking for any opportunities. And for these reasons, we're just asking for a signature bond, and she understands any other conditions that the court would include, including the no alcohol, drugs, and weapons and the stay away.
Does she have a stable address?
She does. And I know this is being live streamed, so I'd rather not say it.
No, I'm not
but I can put
asking
it
for
in
the
chat.
address itself. I just want to know if she had one. She does
Yes,
have
Judge.
a stable address? Okay.
Yes, in Stone Mountain, Georgia, and that's with her grandparents.
All right, at this time, I'm going to modify her bond slightly. Defendant's going to receive a $2,000 split bond. It's going to be a $1,000 signature through the jail on the giving false information, and the $1,000 surety will remain for the theft by shoplifting. She is, of course, to stay away from the address on Cleveland Avenue in East Point, I believe, and she is to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. She'll be reset to the SAP calendar on the 23rd as a reminder. Is there anything further?
Nothing further from the state, Your Honor.
All right, hearing none, best of luck to you, Ms. Lakes. Who do we have next?
Next, we have position number 17, Mr. Wallace, position number 17.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Wallace. Your case is 23 CR 0008660. You're charged with battery, family violence, criminal trespass and damage to property, and pointing or aiming a gun or a pistol at another with the offense date of October the 18th of 2021. You understand your rights?
Yeah, ma'am.
All right. Ms. Foster, can I have Mr. Wallace's history, please?
I have to look at his. I thought this one was bumped up to felony court, Judge.
All right, we'll defer to the state. Ms. Todd, will you please give us the history as
Yes,
well as
Your
your
Honor.
recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor, I sure can. On October 18th, officers were called to 2500 Center Street on reports of a dispute involving a weapon. When they arrived, they spoke to Miss Delicia, that's DALISICA, Harris, common spelling, who stated that she and the defendant were in a verbal altercation over $2 when the defendant struck Ms. Harris in the face multiple times, leaving Ms. Harris with a swollen left eye and a laceration on her lip. Additionally, the defendant broke 3 Samsung televisions. According to the information provided in the police report, these televisions were worth a total of $1,600, and he also stole Ms. Harris's iPhone valued at $1,200. According to Ms. Harris, the defendant then pulled a gun, threatened to shoot not only Ms. Harris, but also her sister, Michaela Harris. That's Mykalla, Harris, common spelling, and Ms. Harris's 3 children, whose initials are ZH, ZE, and MH. It is for these reasons, Your Honor, that we are actually looking into have this case transferred to the district attorney for prosecution on felony charges of aggravated assault, criminal damage to property, and theft by taking. This is not the first time the defendant is alleged to have been violent towards Ms. Harris. Part of his history is an open case in felony court right now. That case number is 23 CP 216176 for cruelty to children in the first degree when he allegedly punched his 17-month-old child in the face, theft by taking, battery family violence against this same victim, and cruelty to children in the 3rd degree. We are not sure what the bond on that case is, Your Honor. We also want to add that there is a possibility of intimidation of this witness. As I've stated, allegedly this defendant has already been violent towards Ms. Harris. They do live together, and with the nature of their relationship, we are concerned that he will try to exercise improper influence over her. We do also believe that the defendant poses a danger to society. Not only does he have that open felony case here in Fulton County, he also has an open case in DeKalb County for murder, aggravated assault, and possession of a firearm or knife during the commission or attempted commission of felony offenses. While we do understand he is presumed innocent until proven guilty, based on the egregiousness of these facts, as well as the defendant's history, we are asking for a $25,000 cash bond only, no further contact with all victims, a stay away from Ms. Harris's home address of 2500 Center Street, 1-day anger awareness, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
All right, I'm sounding for Ms. Harris at this time. If you are present on this Zoom conference and wish to make a statement. All right, hearing and seeing none, Mr. Dotis.
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 23 years old. As the state stated, he does have other open cases. However, he does maintain his innocence and wants to be a part of his defense regarding those and this case. He's not a flight risk. He has lived in Atlanta all his life. I have a stable address for him. It is not the incident location. It's where his mother lives, and I have a contact number for her. Her name is Kim Mitchell. He also has a sister, Jasmine Mitchell, in the area. Mr. Wallace is also expecting his first child due in April. With the mother is not the alleged victim in this case. Mr. Wallace is currently between jobs as he was dealing with another matter in DeKalb County. However, he has a construction job waiting for him at ADM Construction. That's his uncle's company. His name is Bernard Mitchell. So we will have stable employment and wishes to use that to support his family and be a part of his defense. Mr. Wallace has indicated that the maximum amount of bond that he could afford is a $3,000 surety bond. And he understands all of the other conditions and is fine with those. So we would just ask for a $3,000 surety bond.
All right, at this time, give me one moment. All right, defendant's going to receive a $25,000 surety bond. It'll be $5,000 surety on each count. He's to have absolutely no contact with any of the victims, and he is to stay away from the address on Center Street. Additionally, he's to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and he will be reset to the state all purpose calendar on the 23rd, whereby this bond can be revisited at this time. Is there anything further?
Your Honor, I do have one question. You stated a $25,000 surety bond, but it was a $5,000 split on each charge?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm terrible at math. I'm so sorry. Hold on. This is why this happens to me every single time. I was attempting to convert the state's cash to surety. So give me one moment. So what we will do. So it'll be 10,000. No, that's still not correct. Me and this math. All right. So on the bottom count, the pointing the gun, that'll be a 15,000 surety. On the criminal trespass, that will be 5,000 surety. That should take us to 20,000. And on the battery family violence, that'll be 5,000 surety. That should be over 20. Thank you, Ms. Todd. I appreciate that.
And I apologize. I should have had that broken down for you myself.
You really should have. I would have appreciated that.
I'm so sorry.
All right. Best of luck to you, Mr. Wallace. You'll be reset to the state all-purpose calendar on the 23rd. Anything further besides poor math from either the state or the defense?
Nothing from the state.
Nothing from the defense, Your Honor.
All right. Who do we have next?
Number 18, Wings.
I'm sorry. The
It's
phone
gonna
is
be Mrs. Wings in position
okay.
18.
Okay. The signal is poor. All right, Ms. Weems. Ms. Weems has not heard her rights, correct?
Correct.
All right, Ms. Weems, your case is 23 CR 0008688A. You are charged in this case with simple battery in a public transit station or vehicle with the offense date of February the 9th of 2023. I'm Judge Melanie Williams. You have an absolute right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You also have the right to an attorney at this proceeding today. This proceeding is being broadcast over the internet as a live stream. It's also being recorded. That means any member of the public can log on and watch this particular proceeding. Do you understand your rights and how I'm conducting the hearing today?
I do.
All right, thank you. Can I have Ms. Weems' history, Ms. Bostic?
Judge, in regards to Ms. Weems' extensive history across 3 states and violent history, 31 in Georgia, 16 in Florida, 2 in DC. In Georgia, there's a misdemeanor obstruction, simple battery on a peace officer, and criminal trespass in 2019, public indecency in 2018. In DC, there's a slip count in 2000. In Florida, it's the violent history. There's battery against a pregnant person in 02, domestic violence in 05, lewd and lascivious in 05, FTA. And in Georgia, there's 4 FTAs and 1 arrest for probation violation.
All right, thank you, Ms. Bostic. Ms. Todd, please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. The defendant and Roxana Bibiano, that's Roxana. Bibiano is Bibiano, were involved in a verbal altercation on the MARTA train that was headed southbound. Following the altercation, the defendant poked Ms. Bibiano on the butt. We have not had the opportunity to speak with Ms. Bibiano, but we would ask that you sound for her as necessary. As pretrial stated, the defendant does have a extensive previous history with 31 total cycles. That is including 5 FTAs and a probation violation. It is because of the defendant's history that we are asking for a $3,000 surety bond, no further contact with Ms. Bibiano, to comply with any active MARTA suspensions, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Nothing further.
All right, thank you. Mr. Dotis?
Yes, Your Honor. I attempted to speak with Miss Weems earlier today, and I was not successful. So I would
you
ask to see.
You haven't interviewed her?
Your Honor, I attempted to speak with her, and we weren't able to effectively communicate. I would ask for this to be reset onto Monday. I understand a bond needs to be set today, but I don't want her to be stuck until her SAP hearing. I would just ask if we can try again on Monday for better information in order to.
Do you want to speak to her now and be put in a breakout?
Your Honor, I've attempted to speak with Miss Weems without success, and I'm hoping that.
Are there other, I don't want to say it on the record, but are there other concerns that you have, Mr. Dotis, that might require evaluations?
I don't know at this time.
Okay. All right. So what we'll do is, I have a question. Ms. Lewis, can you put me into a breakout very quickly with the ASGs and Mr. Dotis? I just want to ask one question
Yes,
based upon something I see.
Okay,
Your Honor, I'd ask that that be placed in that as well. This is.
Okay, yes, that's fine. Anyone who would like to attend the breakout is more than welcome to come, with the exception of the jail.
I'd like to attend, Your Honor. So if I can be placed in a breakout room.
That's fine.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Get everybody together here.
It's a very quick question. We shouldn't be in there long.
All right.
All right, based upon the information before me, defendant will receive a $3,000 surety bond She's to have no contact with the alleged victim, Miss Bibiano. Miss Bibiano, are you present on this Zoom conference and wish to make a statement at this time? Okay, hearing none. Was there a stay away location requested, Ms. Todd?
We did not request a stay away, Your Honor, but we did ask that she be required to comply with any active MARTA suspensions if there are any.
All right, she's to comply with any active MARTA suspensions. And because she was not able to receive a full interview with her attorney over the past 2 days, she will also be reset to the SCA calendar on Monday, whereby it's our hope that she'll be able to speak with counsel before then, but $3,000 surety bond will apply. Additionally, she's to have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons as a condition. Is there anything further?
Nothing from defense, Your Honor.
All right, hearing none. Best of luck to you, Ms. Weems. What do we have next?
Next, Your Honor, we have position number 16, Mr. Saint Fard.
All right, Mr. St. Barge, your case is 23 CR 0000867C. In this case, you're charged with simple battery family violence with the offense date of February the 10th. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Ms. Bostic, can I have the history, please?
Judge, in regards to Mr. St. Bard, he has 2 prior arrests. Open case 20 CR 0029556G. Simple battery, 2 counts. Victim is Danae Sands Ruiz and Sophia Ataguro. Nothing further.
All right, thank you. Ms. Todd?
Thank you, Your Honor. What began as a verbal dispute via text message between the defendant and Miss Kiana Griffin, that's Quionna Griffin, common spelling, escalated when the defendant barged into her room, grabbed her from the chair that she was sitting in, and shoved her to the ground. Once she was on the ground, a tussle began between the two that continued throughout the house. A friend of Miss Griffin, Mr. Daryl Mitchell, that's Daryl Mitchell, common spelling, was present during the entire altercation and even had to intervene in order to get the defendant off of Miss Griffin. As police arrived at the scene, they were met by Miss Griffin, who was actually being chased out of her home by the defendant. Because of the defendant's history and the fact that there has been no cooling off in this case at all, Your Honor is asking for a $2,000 surety bond, no further contact with either Miss Griffin or Mr. Mitchell, a stay away from the incident location of 474 Holderness Street, that's HOLDERNESS, 1 day of anger awareness, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons.
Judge, I need to correct that history. That was the history actually for the one after that number. McGee. His history is no prior arrest.
No prior arrest. Okay, thank you. Ms. Todd, does your recommendation remain the same?
Yes, because of the cooling off period, we will still ask for that $2,000 surety bond.
Because of the cooling off period?
The lack of cooling off period. The incident did just happen yesterday. As we have not had the opportunity to hear from the victim, she may be on the Zoom. If you would sound for her, we're still gonna keep our bond recommendation the same.
All right, I'm sounding for Ms. Griffin at this time. Hearing none, Mr. Notice.
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 27 years old, and as we heard from pretrial, he has no prior arrest history. I have good contact information with the phone and email address for Mr. St. Fard. His address, as noted, he was living with the alleged victim at the incident location, and I have been clear with Mr. St. Fard that he will most likely not be able to return to that location, and he understands that he will need to find stable housing or a temporary housing that's at a different location and keep us updated on that. Mr. St. Fard is currently a polyester scientist with InstaWork, and he believes that he can keep that job if released, but he's not sure if they would hold it for him. We understand that this incident is recent, and I've been very clear with Mr. St. Fard that he, if released, he can have no further contact with the alleged victim. But we are asking for a signature bond, as well as a one-time escort for Mr. St. Fard to receive any of his property so that he can effectively stay away from the incident location and have no contact with Ms. Griffin.
All right, thank you. At this time, defendant will receive a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial per judge. He is to take the one-day anger awareness course and have no contact with Ms. Griffin or Mr. Mitchell. He is to stay away from the address on Holderness Street. He can return one time with a member of law enforcement to get any items, and he is to have no alcohol, no drugs, and no weapons as a condition. Is there anything further?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
All right,
Nothing from defense.
best of luck to you, sir. Who do we have next?
That was through pretrial, right, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Next we have position number
14
one.
is
Hello.
Go ahead with Joe Court's iPhone.
All right. Are you Deja McGee Russell?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, your case is 23 CR 000-860G. I am Judge Melanie Williams. In this case, you're charged with harassing communications with the offense date of October the 12th of 2022. You have an absolute right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You also have the right to an attorney at this proceeding. This proceeding is being broadcast over the internet as a live stream. It's also being recorded. That means any member of the public can log on and watch this. Do you understand your rights and how I'm conducting this hearing today?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Bostic, can I please have her history?
Yes, Judge McGee Russell, that was her history that I read initially, the 2 prior arrests, the open case.
Okay. I'm sorry, I don't remember it. It was 2 prior arrests, open case.
Yes. 20 CR 0029556G, simple battery, 2 counts. Danae Shanaz Ruiz, and another simple battery. 190095, simple battery.
Thank you, Ms. Bostic. All right, Ms. Todd, please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. On October 12th of 2022, Ms. Sue Fan Shu, that's TZU-FAN, Sue is HSU, received 4 calls from the defendant, which she did not answer. Later that afternoon, Mrs. Sue received a text message from the same number claiming to be Ms. Sue's ex-boyfriend. She also received an Instagram message from the defendant. After reading but not responding to the Instagram message, Ms. Sue received additional calls from the phone number, one of which she answered and could hear a female laughing on the other end. Ms. Sue received additional text message from the defendant, who was later revealed to be the defendant. Officers were able to review several of those text messages, and several of them were threatening in nature. Some of them do include comments such as, "I don't think you want these problems. I'll be seeing you later," which was followed by a picture of Miss Sue's residence, which Miss Sue is not sure how the defendant even knew where she lived. And an additional statement of, "I'm gonna make you eat them words." While the defendant does not have an extensive history, Your Honor, one of the cases that is open in Fulton County, the 20 CR 002956G, is a case involving a similar situation in which the defendant allegedly started a physical altercation with 2 individuals who were allegedly involved with this same ex-boyfriend. We are concerned about the protection of the victim in this case, Your Honor. The defendant did show a clear willingness to threaten the safety of the victim, as well as even a willingness to act on those threats by finding and showing up where the victim resides. For these reasons, we are asking for a $2,000 surety bond, no further contact with the victim, a stay away from the victim's residence. Unfortunately, we were not able to get that address, Your Honor, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons.
All right, thank you. Mr. Dotis?
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 25 years old. As we heard, she does have an open case. She maintains her innocence there, as well as this case. We didn't hear any history of FTAs or VOPs, to my knowledge. I have a good contact. I have a good phone number and an email for her, as well as a good address in Alpharetta, Georgia, where she'll be living with her mother and grandfather. I have a phone number for the grandfather as well. The mother is currently on disability after having a stroke, and my client is the primary caregiver for her mother. And she would ask for a signature bond in order to get back to taking care of her and assisting her grandfather, who's also not in the best of health. My client also was a high school graduate of Alpharetta and has spent the last 15 years in the Atlanta area, and so I don't believe she's a flight risk. For these reasons, we are asking for a signature bond. She understands that she can have no further contact with the alleged victim, and we're clear that if a stay away was given for the alleged victim's address, she understands she can go nowhere near that, as well as any other conditions that this court would put in place. I would also like to note that Ms. McGee Russell does not qualify for the services of the public defender, and I spoke with her about this, but I did indicate that we would represent her for the purposes of today's hearing.
All right, defendant will receive a $1,500 surety bond. She's to have no contact whatsoever via phone, text, Facebook, any type of social media with the victim. She's to stay away from wherever the victim resides and works. And she's to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition of that surety bond. Is there anything further from either party?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
No, Your
All
Honor,
right.
thank you.
Best of luck to you, Ms. McGee. Russell. Who do we have next?
Number 3.
All right, are you Kenya Boykin Grigsby?
Yes.
All right, your case is 23 CR 00870G. In this case, you're charged with criminal trespass and 3 counts of obstruction, or is it 4 counts? And 1 count of criminal trespass, each with the offense date of February the 9th. Do you understand your rights?
Okay.
I'm sorry, well, let me repeat them just in case. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You also have a right to an attorney. This proceeding is being broadcast over the internet. It's also being recorded. Do you understand all of that?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Ms. Bostic, can I have that history?
In regards to Boyington,
Yes, Boyington.
14 prior arrests total across 3 states, 10 in Georgia, 3 in Texas, 1 in South Carolina. Currently has a hold for assault out of Texas. Took a PTI on Schedule 2 DUI misdemeanor possession, 3 arrests for probation violation, 1 FTA in 2022, prior forgery in the first degree in 2016, and a driver with suspended license in 2016. Nothing further.
All right, thank you, Ms. Campbell.
I don't know if I heard pretrial mention the arrest from 2022 for disorderly conduct, and there was an FTA on that case. But if not, I'd like to add that to the history as well. The facts as alleged are that on the date of February 9th of this year, the location of the 5 Points MARTA station, which is located at 30 Alabama Street, this defendant was at that location after having been previously criminally trespassed by MARTA. She was actually given a MARTA suspension that was to be active, or that is active, until February 19th of this year. She was also at that time seen entering the northbound trackway, and that area is clearly marked with the sign that says "Do not enter," and it states that it's a high voltage area. And so she was observed on CCTV surveillance video footage in that location where she's prohibited from being, unless you are MARTA personnel. Additionally, when the officers attempted to take her into custody for criminal trespass, she did actively resist arrest to the point where she pulled away from one officer as he was trying to place the handcuffs on her. And then there was 2 other officers that were attempting to take her into custody. And the other 2 officers, she kicked them. One of them she kicked 2 times, and one she kicked, it's my understanding, once. And so in light of the facts, as well as the history, the state's recommendation for bond is a $2,500 total surety bond. The state is recommending that there be a $500 surety bond set on each count, since there are 5 counts in total. And the state is also recommending that the defendant be instructed to stay away from MARTA and comply with all active MARTA suspensions while on bond, and have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Nothing further.
Thank you for that math, Ms. Campbell. Please proceed, Mr. Ford.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, my client is 27 years old, is a high school a graduate, Your Honor. She is not employed at this time, but she is actively looking for work. She feels she can do a number of different types of jobs, so she is actively looking for work. She's a lifetime resident of the state of Georgia, which she is not looking. She's not a flight risk, Your Honor. She does have family, and she has tremendous community support. Where I did hear that there were some cycles, Your Honor, but I didn't hear any real violent cycles. This is a criminal trespass on marital property that she does understand the necessary situation of having a suspension. And the concern I have, and a number of people do have with the willful obstruction, there are some concerns when people, certain individuals are approached by law enforcement officers, they may not be that ready to comply. So at this point, Your Honor, we feel the fact that she does not have employment, does not have funds, that any type of surety bond would mean that she would just remain incarcerated. So at this point, Your Honor, we'd ask for a signature bond based on the fact that she does not have any real violent history at this time, and this is just a criminal trespass on marital property, which she does understand the suspension and is willing to comply.
All right, and this time defendant's gonna receive a split bond. On each count of criminal trespass, it will be a $500 surety bond. So that should be 1,000 surety for those two counts. And then she will receive a $1,500 signature bond through the jail for each of the 3 counts of willful obstruction, for a total of a $2,500 split bond. She is to comply with all active MARTA suspensions and have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. Is there anything further?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right.
Actually, can you repeat that again? I'm sorry.
Yes, it's gonna be a 2,500 split. It's 500 on each count of criminal trespass for a total of 1,000 surety. And each count of willful obstruction, she's receiving a 500 signature through the jail. She's to comply with all active MARTA suspensions, and she's to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Anything further? All right, best of luck to you, ma'am. Who do we have next?
Next, we have position number 1, Mr. Bannister.
All right, Mr. Bannister, your case is 23 CR 000-869C. You're charged with battery, family violence with the offense date of February the 8th. Do you understand, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Ms. Bostic, can I have Mr. Bannister's history, please?
Judge, in regards to Mr. Bannister, did not go through his complete history, extensive arrest history, 58 prior arrests, history of DUIs, history of habitual violator, convictions and arrests. He's a repeat offender. Convictions of felony obstructions, DUIs, open case 23 CP 216151, aggravated assault, criminal trespass, battery, family violence. M. Sorrells, he's on probation, 22 SC 183158, habitual violator. 11/30/2022.
I think that's good, Ms. Bostic. I'm sure Ms. Campbell will highlight where necessary. Ms. Campbell, please proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. The facts for this incident are that on the date of February the 9th at approximately 6:30 p.m. at the location of 1896 Grove Avenue in East Point, this defendant did punch his nephew. His nephew's name is Michael Sorrells, SORRELLS. He punched his nephew in the face, and this did cause lacerations to the victim's nose, as well as visible bruising to the victim's left eye. According to the police report, the defendant and the victim were living together at the time. And the officer also spoke to another individual who was present at the time of the incident, and that individual is the defendant's sister. The defendant's sister advised the officer that the defendant had also threatened to kill both herself and Mr. Sorrells in their sleep and to slit their throats. So the Yeah, the defendant was taken into custody. And as pretrial mentioned, he was also taken into custody at the same time on a case in Superior Court involving the same victim, Michael Sorrells, where he's been charged with aggravated assault, strangulation, and battery family violence against his nephew from an incident day of January 24th of this year. So just a few weeks prior to this particular incident. The state would also like to note that in that case, he's alleged to have choked his nephew and punched him while he was drunk. And when I say he, I mean the defendant. So in light of the defendant's most recent conviction in 2021 for habitual violator in Superior Court for DUI, so it was a felony DUI in light of the fact that he's already had so many prior DUIs, and in light of the fact that he has a open aggravated assault strangulation against this same victim, his nephew, the state is seriously concerned about the victim's safety and about this defendant's likelihood to reoffend. So the state's recommendation for bond at this time is a $10,000 surety bond on the sole count of battery family violence, no further contact with his nephew, Michael Sorrells, a stay away from the incident location of 1896 Grove Avenue in East Point, as well as the state's asking for alcohol drug evaluation and treatment while he's on bond because he was drunk allegedly during these incidents and because of his prior history that indicates that type of behavior, as well as no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while on bond. Nothing further from this.
All right, thank you. I'm sounding for Mr. Sorrell at this time, or Sorrell, if you're present and wish to make a statement. All right, hearing and seeing none, Mr. Ford.
Your Honor, first of all, I'm going to lodge one objection to the statement that was made by the, I guess, a witness to the situation. I don't have any paperwork that shows that that statement has been presented or made by anyone. So the objection about that my client was trying to kill or made a statement to kill someone, I'd ask that be taken into consideration.
Duly noted, Mr. Ford. Yes, please
Thank you.
continue.
It is in the warrant packet. I'm sorry, the same warrant packet in the jail tab.
Yeah.
All right, continue, Mr. Ford.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, my client's 57 years of age, and he's a lifetime resident of the state of Georgia. So he's not a flight risk. He's been here his entire life. He has tremendous family support, even and community support, because the person that he has down for contact is presently a co-worker where he works at CAM's Investment in Home Improvement, Your Honor. So he's gainfully employed. He does have an address that is outside of the stay away address, Your Honor. This is a family incident. We understand that certain things do get out of control. He does feel that he has a defense in this particular case, Your Honor. And so at this point, we're asking that he does receive a signature bond due to the fact that this is a situation where he maintains his innocence on this because of the defense that he has brought to my attention. So at this time, Your Honor, we are asking for a signature bond from Mr. Bannister.
All right, defendant will receive a $5,000 surety bond. He's to have absolutely no contact with Mr. Sorrells and stay away from the incident location on Grove Avenue. Should he need to return there to collect any items, he can do so with a member of law enforcement. Additionally, he's to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. Is there anything further?
No, Your Honor.
All right, hearing none. Best of luck to you, Mr. Bannister.
What was that bottom line again, Your Honor?
It's 5,000 surety.
Thank you. You finished. Yep. Next, we have position number 19, Mr. Sylvester Williams.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Williams. Your case
Hello,
is 23 CR 0008718. You're charged with criminal trespass and theft by taking with the offense date of February the 9th. Do you understand your rights? You said yes?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Ms. Bossett, can I have his history, please?
Judge, extensive criminal history across 3 states, 3 in Georgia, 2 in Texas, 60 in California, 4 violence in Texas, in California and Texas, he may have an open case for aggravated assault family. And from 2020, in California, he has inflicting corporal punishment and battery convictions. In Georgia, he has an open case, 22 CR 008473E, obstruction and obstruction street and highways. Nothing further.
All right, thank you, Ms. Bostic. Ms. Todd?
Thank you, Your Honor. While on patrol, Officer Cook observed the defendant entering the Greyhound construction site located at 232 Forsyth Street. Officer Cook stopped his patrol vehicle and actually spoke with a Greyhound security officer, Antonio Lucas, both common spelling. Mr. Lucas informed Officer Cook that he had previously removed the defendant from the property for attempting to steal Greyhound merchandise. Officer Cook gave the defendant a criminal trespass warning and continued on his patrol. Later that evening, Officer Cook was flagged down by Mr. Lucas again at the Greyhound construction site and showed the officer surveillance footage of the defendant re-entering the location, throwing boxes containing Greyhound merchandise over a fence, and then going and retrieving those items. As pretrial stated, he does have an extensive criminal history with 65 cycles. As she mentioned, I do believe, as she mentioned, there is an open case in DeKalb County for criminal trespass, as well as an open case here in Fulton County. For these reasons, because of the defendant's history, we are asking for a total $3,000 surety bond. That's $1,500 on count 1 and $1,500 on count 2, as well as a stay away from the Greyhound at 232 Forsyth Street, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
All right, thank you. Mr. Dotis?
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 57 years old. Regarding his recent open cases, Mr. Williams does maintain his innocence there as well as here and wants to be a part of his defense. I didn't hear, if I missed it, I apologize. I didn't hear any FTAs or VOPs. Mr. Williams did come here from California and Texas, but he has been in Atlanta the past 3 years and he intends to stay here. So I don't believe he's a flight risk. He's not currently working, but he does receive SSI and he's currently having issues related to homelessness. Mr. Williams would not be able to afford any bond set. So we just request a signature bond, and he understands that he could have no further contact with any of the alleged victims and stay away from the construction site.
All right, at this time, defendant will receive $1,000 surety bond. It's $500 for each count. He's to stay away from the Greyhound station on Forsyth Street, have no contact with any of the alleged victims in this case, and have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. Is there anything further?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, best of luck to you, Mr. Williams.
All right, y'all, you can go to Alpharetta.
All right. The only position I have left is the case of Corey Hill. Is that who we have at Alpharetta?
I believe we also have Mr. Motlag in Alpharetta.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Position 15 as well.
Oh, okay, yes, we do have that position. Who's seated at or Alpharetta? Is that Mr. Hill?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Hill, have you heard your rights?
Yes.
All right, your case is 23 CR 000858B. You're charged with battery family violence with the offense date of October the 2nd. Do you understand your rights? Is that just nod yes, that you're muted? Do you understand your rights? All right, thank you. All right, may I have his history, Ms. Bostic? Ms. Bostic, if you're speaking, you're muted.
I'm sorry, Judge. Does not qualify for pretrial services, 10 prior arrests, open case 22 CR 007971B, reckless conduct, cruelty to animals, 2 counts, dog at large, 3 misdemeanors, deposit account fraud being 1 arrest for probation violation, 1 felony obstruction in 2014. Nothing further.
All right, thank you. Ms. Todd?
Thank you, Your Honor. What began as a verbal altercation between the defendant and his girlfriend, Miss Chantel Busby, that's SHANTELL, Busby is BUSBY, escalated when Miss Busby put her finger in the defendant's face. As a response to this, the defendant punched her in the face 3 times. Ms. Busby admittedly did punch the defendant back and even threw an object at him. The couple did arrive home later that afternoon. Both individuals got out of the car and the defendant began punching Ms. Busby again repeatedly, leaving lacerations on her neck and inside of her mouth. The defendant does have 10 cycles, including multiple arrests for violent offenses. Therefore, we are concerned with the risk of reoffense in this case. As far as the safety and concerns for the witness in this case, as of the date of the incident, and as far as our knowledge, Ms. Busby and the defendant do have a residence together. However, we were informed that the victim was also arrested for this incident, and there is a no further contact and stay away from the defendant on her case. We are asking for a $5,000 surety bond, Your Honor, with the defendant's open violent cases. We are sure that a signature bond is not appropriate in this case. We are asking for no further contact from Chantel Busby, a stay away from Miss Busby's home of 1003 Hill Street, 1 day of anger awareness, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
All right, I'm sounding for Ms. Busby at this time. If you're present and wish to make a statement. Hearing and seeing none, Mr. Dotis.
Mr. Hill is 42 years of age. He maintains his innocence in all the open cases mentioned today, as well as his innocence in the present case and wants to be a part of his defense. Mr. Hill has provided me with both a phone number and email, so I don't believe contact will be an issue going forward. He's also been an Atlanta resident all of his life, which is 42 years. He has family support with his uncle Tony Hill living in Alpharetta, as well as his wife Antrice Hill. I know the state mentioned that it was their belief that he was living with the alleged victim. My understanding after speaking with Mr. Hill is that he lives with his wife Antrice Hill. I have an address for that in Atlanta, Georgia, so we have no issues with the stay away from the address that the state brought up. Mr. Hill is currently a mechanic for his own company, Corey Automotive Mechanics. For these reasons, we're fine with all of conditions, but we would request a signature bond. Mr. Hill is clear that he can have no further contact with Miss Busby, as well as staying away from her address. And we would also note that the alleged victim in this case was also arrested for this incident.
All right. Defendant will receive a $3,000 surety bond. He's to have no contact with Ms. Busby. He must stay away from the address on Hill Street. And if he needs to retrieve anything from there, he can return one time with law enforcement to do so. Additionally, he's to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. Is there anything further?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
All right. Best of luck to you, Mr. Hill.
Your Honor, Ms. Todd, could you confirm the stay away address for me? I had something different. I know it's on Hill Street, but I want to make sure I get the number correct.
I had 1003 Hill Street.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anything further? All right. Good luck. Best of luck to you, Mr. Hill. We the only other position is 15. All right. Are you pronounce your name for me, please? I'm sorry, he's muted.
Bijan Esmail Mutlaq, Your Honor.
All right. So your case is 23 CR 0008663A. You're charged with battery family violence with the offense date of February the 11th. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Bostic, can I have the history, please?
In regards to this defendant, 25 prior arrests in Georgia, old open case that's in judicial hold, 13 SC 123155, theft by shoplifting, theft by taking. On probation, simple battery, False imprisonment, 2 counts from 2021 for 2 years, for 10 years, I'm sorry. There's a simple battery, family violence, and a disorderly conduct, 2 counts. A Balmain Motlaw, and to stay away from 1465 Bradwell Road.
All right.
There's 6 misdemeanors, 2 arrests for probation violation. Nothing further.
All right, thank you, Ms. Bostic. Ms. Todd?
Thank you, Your Honor. A verbal altercation between the defendant and his father, Mr. Bahman Motlog, that's Bahman, last name is the same as the defendant's, escalated when the defendant threw water on his father. Your Honor, we are very concerned with the risk of reoffense in this case. While the defendant has 25 cycles, he does have 2 cases that are of particular concern to the state. One of them is 22 CR 002805A, in which the defendant guilty back in May to civil battery family violence against this same victim, and was ordered to have no further contact with his father. Additionally, he pled guilty on that same day in the case of 18 CR 007747A of simple battery against his father again. This plea also included a stay away from the incident location of 1465 Mid Broadwell Road. We have clearly there are obvious concerns for the safety of the victim in this case, as well as for the defendant's ability to obey orders issued by a court, Your Honor. As such, the state is asking for a $5,000 surety bond. Again, no further contact with Mr. Bahman Motlog, a stay away again from 1465 Mid Broadwell Road, 1 day of anger awareness, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
I'm sorry, can you give me the incident location one more time?
Yes, Your Honor, it is 1465 Mid Broadwell, that's BROADWELL Road.
All right, thank you. Mr. Dotis?
My client is 31 years old. He's spent most of his life in Atlanta. He's been here since 1996, so I do not believe he'll be a flight risk. He has family support through his aunt, and excuse me for butchering this last name, Miss Nura Abitabel. She lives in Roswell, Georgia. She has an address that my client is welcome to stay at, so we will not be a flight risk. I have a good phone number and email address, so we'll be able to be in good contact. Mr. Motlag maintains his innocence in all open cases, as well as this case. He went to high school at Roswell High School, where he graduated in 2012, as well as attending Payne College in Augusta. He last worked at Dow Free, which is a scanning conversion company, and he was currently interviewing with Boston Scientific, which is a medical supply packaging company in the Atlanta area, where he's hoping that he'll still be able to continue interviewing and hopefully secure a position. As of right now, he is between jobs and he cannot afford any amount of bond. So we would request a signature bond. I've spoken with my client, and he's clear that he can't have any other further contact with the alleged victim, as well as staying away from the incident location on Mid Broadwell Road. This is an incident within the family, but I've made it very clear to Mr. Motlag that without his father being present, we would have to revisit the no further contact at a later date if there's a way to get no further violent contact. But as of today, Mr. Motlag is clear that it is no further violent contact. We're fine with all conditions, but we would be requesting a signature bond.
All right, defendant will receive a $3,500 surety bond. He's to have no further contact with the alleged victim and stay away from the address on Mid Broadwell Road. If he needs to obtain any items, he must return with law enforcement to do so. Additionally, he's to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. Is there anything further?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
All right. Best of luck to you, sir. I believe that concludes the entire calendar.
Your Honor?
Yes, if you have a question about the bond, I will hear it. But I advise you, remember, you have a right to remain silent. I don't want you to say something to me by mistake that the state will use against you.
Yes, ma'am. As my lawyer stated, sorry. Sorry, someone's talking. I apologize.
Mr. Mala, we can have a discussion later. I want to remind you that you're
Please.
being recorded, but I can give you a call and we can discuss any of your questions.
Please, I would really like to say something.
Go ahead very quickly.
I promise you, I'll handle it correctly, sir. Your Honor, as my lawyer stated, it was alleged that the reason for this simple battery is that I threw water on my father. That's what is alleged. Your Honor, yesterday morning, I put socks on my father's feet. I made him scrambled eggs and sausage on toast. I put his clothes on.
Okay, I don't want you to tell me too much. Are you saying that you are begging for contact with your father? Is that what you're asking me?
I know my father wants contact with me. He hugged and kissed me before I left. I'm asking you to please reconsider the signature bond, because I have no way of paying for that, and I will be stuck in here, and it will take away my opportunity to provide money for myself.
Okay.
Family.
Okay, hold on one second. Ms. Bostic, again, in the past 5 years, can you give me defendant's history? I'm sorry.
Judge, he has that simple battery, family violence, and disorderly conduct against the same victim. And to stay away from that address. And then he's on probation for simple battery and battery, family violence, and false imprisonment. So he does not qualify due to those two cases alone.
All right, you don't qualify for pretrial, Mr. Malag, so unfortunately the bond will remain as set. I will lower it slightly to the, it will be, what was it, 3,000? Did I say 3,500? Katrina, what did I say?
3,500.
Okay, I will make it 3,000, all right? Best of luck to you, sir.
Thank
All
you.
right, I believe that concludes the entire calendar. If you will please review it for me, Ms. Lewis.
Will my lawyer be calling me and talking to me later?
Mr. Jodas, please give him a call.
I can do that, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Everybody ready to go over the calendar?
We
Okay.
are.
All set.
All right. All right. Position number 1, received a $5,000 surety bond. The case is reset for the SAP counter for February the 23rd. Position number 2, received a $4,000 surety bond. The case is reset for February the 23rd. Position number 3, received a $2,500 split bond, $1,000 surety, and a $1,500 SOB through the jail. That case is reset for the SAP for February the 23rd. Position number 4 is a $6,000 SOB through the jail. The case is reset further notice. Position number 5 is a $500 SOB through the jail. The case is reset further notice. Position number 6 is a $2,000 pretrial, SOB through pretrial. The case is reset further notice. Position number 7 is a $3,000 SOB through the jail. The case is reset further notice. Position number 8 is a $3,000 SOB through the jail. The case is reset further notice. Position number 9 is a total of $1,000 surety bond. The case is reset for the SAP counter for February the 23rd. Position number 10 is a $5,000 SOB through pretrial per judge. The case is reset further notice. Position number 11 is a $3,000 surety bond. The case is reset for the SAP counter for February the 23rd. Position number 12 is a $2,000 split bond, a $1,000 SOB through the jail, and a $1,000 surety. The case is reset for SAP February the 23rd. Position 13 received a $3,000 SOB through pretrial. The case per judge. The case is reset further notice. Position 14 is a $1,500 surety bond. The case is reset for SAP February the 23rd. Position 15 received a $3,000 surety bond. The case is reset for the SAP counter for February the 23rd. Position number 16 received a $2,000 SOB through pretrial per judge. The case is reset further notice. Position 17 is a $25,000 surety bond. I'm correct on that?
That's what I have.
Okay, that's $5,000 on the battery, $5,000 on the criminal trespass, and a $15,000 surety on pointing the pistol. That's correct, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the case is reset for the SAP February the 23rd. Position 18 received a $3,000 surety bond, but that case is going to be reset on Monday's SEA counter, which is February the 13th, to revisit with their counselor. Position number 19 is a $1,000 surety bond. The case is reset for the SAP counter for February the 23rd. Any questions or concerns or corrections?
Yes, just one question on position 10. Was that a $5,000 surety bond?
Position number 10 was a $5,000 SOB through pretrial per judge. Is that correct? I'm pretty sure.
That's what I have as well.
It's an SOB through
Yes, I have 5,000 SOB.
per judge.
Judge and prosecutors and PDs, I didn't clarify it, but just for y'all information, when y'all look on his GCIC for the last guy, Motlaw, that false imprisonment was his father, both of his parents as well. The whole write-up is on his GCIC. So y'all can look at that if you want to. He was to stay away from them as well on that too.
Thank you, Ms. Bostic, for that point of clarification. All right, I believe that there were no further questions or comments.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, not my speediest SCA calendar, but I think I left enough time for you all to enjoy some of your weekend there. Everyone take care. I will see some of you all next week. Any other, there's no outstanding orders that need to be sent to me. We didn't do any MH, did we, Katrina? All right, good.